Namo Shakyamuni Buddha. So today we continue to discuss about the life of Buddha. And last time we discussed about how uh, Siddhartha, the lay person, uh, on his business trip, going to the kingdom of Magadha, of Bimbisara to the business, as well as visiting his brother-in-law, and somehow he knew that his brother-in-law make preparation to receive the Buddha, as well as making offerings to Buddha. So he was so delightful that he could not wait until the next day to visit the Buddha um, at midnight. And after that, he was sincerely invite the Buddha going to Savatis, uh, with this city was. So yes, the Buddha accepted his invitation, and he went back with Rainbow Sisaputra by foot, and from the city of Raja Haram to Sabatis is around 450 kilometers. So they walked by foot for a month. And when he got back to his hometown, he looked for the suitable place for the Buddha to stay, as well as his followers. But he could not find any place except the Prince Jeta uh, garden, a park. So after uh, negotiation, the Prince Jeta agreed to uphold his promise that if Sudatam laid out the golden coins in every inch of his park, he would sell that park to Sudota. But at his surprise, Sudatam ordered his servant to bring the gold coins and lie down everywhere to cover the route of this park. So the prince was so um, surprised with the sincerity and commitment of Siddhartha. So he understood that this is not the ordinary business matter, and he wondered the Buddha and his followers must have some extraordinary um, teaching that could make this young merchant to go in such lengths of dedication by laying down the golden coins uh, that cover every place in his park. And of course, the prince asked Siddhartha to tell him about who the Buddha was. So definitely later on, Siddhartha uh, told the prince about his teachers, the teaching, as well as the monastic communities. And he promised that he would invite Wembo Sariputra to meet the prince in the following day. So the Prince Jeta himself that he was moved by what this wealthy merchant guy who just told him about the life of the Buddha, as well as the teaching. And while he was observing, he saw that this young wealthy merchant man uh, ordered his servant to spread the golden coins over two-thirds of the park already. Uh, so at that time, the prince told Sudata, that's enough. Let the demanding land and the trees to be my gift. I want to contribute uh, mm, to the Buddhas and his monastic communities. So hearing that, Sudata was so pleased. So he um, went back the next day, invite Vimbo Shriputra to meet the prince. And of course, when they had the meeting, the prince was so impressed by Shriputra peaceful um, outlook and adornment. So together they went to visit the park in which the Sudata decided to call Jetavana or Jeta Grove in honor of the prince. So the wealthy merchant Sudata suggests to Vembo Shriputra that he would live on that property to help him uh, to build the building inside that park for the Buddhas and his monastic communities. So, and he said that his family would bring food to offerings uh, to Sariputra every day. So, remember Sariputra agreed, and after that, together, Shuddhata, Sariputra, and the prince discussed how to build the temple, the huts, the teaching hall, meditation hall, bathrooms for Buddhas and his followers. And Shuddhata, he want to build the three high gates at the park entrance. So Sriputra uh, provides helpful guidance to erect, build the monastery that he has experienced. So they select the special and cool and tranquil spot to build the Buddha hut. And they also make the pathway for the monks to walk around as well as digging the well to use the water. Mm. And the city people soon heard how Sudatta had put the golden coins to cover the park as a prize purchase from the prince. They have learned that a monastery was being built to welcome the Buddha and his Sangha, who would soon arrive from Magadha. And also, they came there to listen to the sermon of Vembo Sariputra, uh, and every day the numbers of attendants were growing. Even many of them have not met the Buddha yet, but they still felt drawn into his teaching. And 4 months later, the monastery was nearly completed. Svembo Shariputra to set up for Raja Raja in order to invite the Buddhas and the other monks coming to the Jetavana or Jeta Guru Monastery. And on the way, he met the Buddha on the street of Vesali, uh, and many of them wear the robes and were making the food on the street, and they told Wembo Shriputra that the Buddha and other monks had arrived in Vesali only a few days, uh, and they stay at the great forest. So the Buddha um, asked them to make preparation for going to Savatthi. So happily, Shariputra went to see the Buddha and report what's going on at the Cheta Grow Monastery in Savatthi. The Buddha told him that he had left Kundana and Uru Veda Kashyapa to in charge of communities at the Bamboo Grove Monastery um, in Rajagaha. Uh, and together, the Buddha went to Vesali with 500 monks. And other 200 monks stayed in the nearby area to practice. And the remaining 200 monks would accompany the Buddha to Kosala kingdom. The Buddha also told Shriputra that Pali has invited the Buddha and entire group of monks for meal offerings for the next day. And after that, they would depart for Savatthi. Savatthi is the city of Kusala. So let me stop here for a while and show you some image of the Chakravro Monastery. And before then, we know the wealthy merchant Suratha had made dedication to lie down the golden coins on the ground of the Cheta Grove in order to buy that park to build the monastery for the Buddha and his monks. Like I mentioned before, Sudatha, he also has another name as Anapantika, or the benefactor of the poor. Even before meeting the Buddha, he dedicated his times and wealth to help the poor people. Let me show you and share with you the image here. Here. Here's the image of the wealthy merchant Sudatha or Anapantika, or the benefactor of the poor, that he used to offer the food and the clothes to the needy one. And this is another image here. He's have done all kind of charity work to help the poor people. That's what the meaning of Anathapindika is. And this is the site of the Chitavana, and this the remains at this monastery. And here, the site here, the main section of Chetavana Monastery. And here again, the Buddha went from Rajagaha to Vesali by foot. You know, in the past they worked by foot, not by airplane, by cars, and so forth. So he went there and accept the invitation from uh, the lady Ampara Party, the public dancer, and from here, the Buddha walked to Kosala, the place where that wealthy merchant lived. The city is Savatthi. That's where he purchased the park from the Prince Cheta to build the Buddha's temple there, and what we call the Cheta monastery, the Cheta Vana, Cheta Bro monastery. And let me share with you another link. Okay, let's see here. That show. Oh, here's the image. There's mentioned about how this wealthy man land out the golden coins in every inches on the ground that cover whole round of that park in order to buy the Prince Park. So this is the image. And let me share with you a short video clips about the Jetavana Monastery in Uttar Pradesh, India. Here is a group of tourist people went to visit this Jetavana Monastery. So these are the demanding of this monastery where the wealthy man Sudatta laid out the golden coins as a way to purchase this land and make offerings to the Buddha and his Sangha. And in many Buddhist commentary, they use the names of Jetavana monastery too. Okay. Yeah. Oh, so again, when the public dancer Bapali heard that the Buddha and his monks will visit Vesali. She went to see the Buddha and invite the Buddha coming to her mango grove residence to make offerings. So the Buddha accept her invitation, and on the way back to prepare for the meal for the Buddhas and his disciple. She met many young princes of the Limchavi clan. They were the most powerful and wealthiest lords in Vesali. So when they met her, they asked her where she going to, and she replied that she was on the way back home to prepare the food for the Buddhas and his disciple next day. So the young nobles suggest that if she allowed them to invite the Buddhas and the monks go to their palaces to receive the offerings, they would pay for her 100,000 pieces of gold. So that's compensate her not to invite the Buddha. But this lady, she was not much interest, and she replied that probably you would not know who the Buddha was. You would not know the Buddha teaching. That's why you speak in that manner. I have made arrangement to invite the Buddha and his monastics monks to my residence. And even if you uh, offer me the entire city of Vesali and all the land surrounding it, I would refuse. Uh, so hearing that, uh, these noblemen uh, left and went back to the Red Forest where the Buddha was staying with his monk. So at that time, the Buddha recognized that this young nobleman possessed many seeds of compassion and wisdom. He invited them to come into the hut and told them about um, the teachings as a way how to attain enlightenment. So at that time, somehow because of their good roots, uh, they recognize and understood the Buddha teaching on the spot. Especially, they recognize that the Buddha were the same royal class like them, and with the clear explanation of the Buddha, uh, their hearts were open. They understood the meanings of truth, how to practice and transform their mind so that they could be free from attachment in this samsara world. And they could recognize their own mind. They understood that wealth and the power would not enough to bring them to happiness. And they knew that they had found a path for their own life. So they asked the Buddha to accept them as the lay disciples. Uh, and they also asked the Buddha if he could bring his followers to their palace to receive the offerings for the next day. So at first, definitely the Buddha accepted them as lay disciple, but he's explained to them that they have been late because the Buddha had accepted the new offerings from Ambapali the next day already. And of course, these young nobles recognize and recall the story that they met Ambapali on the street. They further asked the Buddha, if that's the case, please come to our palace to receive a meal on the next day, that means the day after tomorrow. So the Buddha gently accept their invitation. So on the next day, Pali invite all her relatives and friends to the mango grove residence. And she also invite this Rinchavi nobleman coming to listen to the Buddha teaching. And the next day, the Buddha and hundreds monks came to um, this lady mango grove, and of course the Buddha also gave the teaching to them. They were so happy to receive the Buddha teachings. And the day after that, the Buddha led another 100 monks going to the prince's palace. Of course, they were served with elegant refined dishes that has been prepared with utmost skill and care. The princess also offered all kind of delicious food to the Buddhas and the monks. And after the meal was finished, the Buddha spoke about the two cleanse conditions, the Eightfold Paths, and so forth. Those teaching uh, uh, um, touch the mind of many young people, especially the noblemen. So 12 of them uh, asked the Buddha permission to be ordained as a monk. So the Buddha accepted them happily, and they include the two young princes, Oda Tam and Sunakata, who have great influence on the Linchavi clans. So let me stop here and let me show you a short video clips about how uh, the public servant, a public dancer, Arab Pali invite the Buddha to her resident to accept the offerings from her place. Here, let me skip. It's still long. Let me skip to the last part.
And his deep-seated love towards her. She gave up all pleasures of life and could no longer dance. The nobles left her alone, not knowing what brought this sudden change. One day, Amrapali saw a young man with happy countenance, carrying a beautiful lotus and going towards the outskirts of Vaishali. When Amrapali inquired, the young man replied, I am heading towards Kodigram, where Lord Buddha has camped for his discourse to the people. Amrapali became thoughtful. She had heard of Buddha as the one who knows cause of all sufferings. She decided to go and visit Buddha, and she joined the crowd. With rapt attention, Amrapali heard Buddha say, out of desire comes the grief and fear. Free yourself from desire, and the grief and fear will wither away. Amrapali began to experience a new kind of joy. The words of Buddha soothed her. She went to Kotigram daily and listened to the Lord. She wanted Buddha to visit her house, but she was hesitant to invite him as she was a public dancer. Soon it was time for Buddha to leave Vaishali. Even after Buddha left, Amrapali continued to visit Kotigram every evening. She would circle the place where Buddha sat, praying to the Lord and listening to him in her imagination. Then one day, to her surprise, Buddha returned. She ran up to him and fell at his feet. Then she built up her courage to invite him to her house. Buddha saw the pain she was going through and promised to visit her house. Amrapali rushed home to make preparations. When the nobles heard of Buddha's coming to Amrapali's house, they felt insulted. Why should Buddha visit the house of an ill-reputed public dancer? They exclaimed. He should rather come to the royal palace. The nobles first offered bribe to Amrapali so that she would agree to bring Buddha to the palace instead of her house. Amrapali turned them down. Then they went to Lord Buddha, requesting him to visit the royal palace instead of Amrapali. Buddha firmly replied, I am sorry, I cannot. I have already agreed to visit Amrapali at her house. Buddha came to the house of Amrapali with his favorite disciples. Amrapali served them with great honor. She was so very happy after a long time. With great reverence, Amrapali asked, Lord, why do I feel such immense joy as I serve you? Buddha said, Amrapali, we have begun to know the joy of giving. Later, Amrapali went to Buddha to offer the garden and the house for the Sangha, the association of seekers of truth which Buddha organized. Buddha accepted her offer. Thus Amrapali renounced her worldly life and got the peace of mind she had been craving for. Years later, the garden which Amrapali gave to Lord Buddha was described by Faiyan, the Chinese traveler and historian.
Okay, here. So this is short video clips that relate to this puppet dancer Arab party, and we know that even now in India, people classify in four main types. Uh, the first one is the class of priests. The second one is the royal class. The third is merchant, and the last one is the servants. And even now they have the what they call untouchable class. And since this lady, Pali, is belong to the low class, and that's why those Punjabi noblemen wonder why the Buddha accept the meal offerings from this close class lady, but because of his compassion and impartial mind toward anyone else, so the Buddha can accept her invitation as same as the wealthy one. So with that due compassion in um, communities, the Buddha treat everyone equally. So that is the most teaching that the Buddha provide for us to follow too. So again, let's go back to the story that after accepting the invitation from those Rinchavi prince, nobleman, the Buddha gave the teaching, and after hearing the teaching, two of them made the vows to become Buddhist monk. And they also request the Buddha come into Vesali for the 40 years, and they also promised to build a monastery in the Great Forest that could hold 700 monks. And so the Buddha accept their proposal. And after receiving Arab party and the Punjabi noblemen's offerings, as well as giving them the teaching, the Buddha left Vesali for Savatthi in the Kosala kingdom. Because Anapantika or Sudatta, the wealthy man, have great influence on the people in that city. due to his mm, charitable work to help poor people. He made announcement that the Buddha and his disciple would come to the Savatthi soon. That's why so many people gather at his monastery. And when the Buddha and his followers got to Savatthi, um, they were greeted warmly wherever they went. And at night, the monks stay in the cool forest along the banks of Chiravati River. They travel in small groups, and the Buddhas and Sariputta led the first group. As the second groups were headed by the monk Asaji. The third groups was guided by Mongaliana. So all the monks maintain their peaceful serenity as they walk around the city. And sometimes local people gathered in the city or went to the forest along the river bank to listen to the teachings. So the day they arrived at Savatthi, they were greeted by the wealthy man Sudatha and the prince Cheta, who invited them to the new monastery at Cheta Grove Monastery. Seeing how well planted Cheta Grove was, the Buddha praised Sudatha. And Sudatha responded that all the ideas, plans, and so forth was guided by Venerable Sariputta and the Prince Jeta. So Prince Jeta and Sudatha arranged a reception immediately after the Buddha arrival. Seeing the Buddha directly, Prince Jeta came to a deep admiration of the Buddha, and the prince also made announcement for the people to come and listen to Buddha's sermon, and many of them came, including his mothers, Queen Malika, and his 16-year-old sister, Princess Vajiri. After hearing the Buddha teaching for months, everyone was so anxious to see him in person. So at that moment, the Buddha spoke many teachings, including the Four Noble Truths and Eightfold Paths. After hearing many Dhamma talks, the queens and the princess felt they understood the truth, and they both want to become a lay disciple, but they did not dare to ask. So the queen first want to seek the approval from her husband, King Pasidandi. She was sure that the king would meet the Buddha soon, and the king Pasidani's own sister, who was the wife of King Bimbisara, had already taken the tree refuge with the Buddha 3 years before. And also many important religious leaders in Savatthi also attend the Buddha teaching during those days. Most of them came out due to their curiosity rather than having the desire or wish to learn anything from Buddha. But many of them, after listening to Buddha's sermons, suddenly they gain awakening, and others saw him in a worthy of opponents who challenged their own belief. But everyone agree that with the Buddha present in Savatthi, it was a significant event in the spiritual life of people in the Kosala kingdom. Uh, so after the deception and Dhamma talks, Siddhartha respectfully declares the Buddha is that my family and friends came here together to make offer the Chetavana monastery to you and your monastic communities. And so the Buddha gently say that Siddhartha, your merit is merit. We appreciate you to dedicate your wealth and effort to build this monastery for us. The Sangha will be protected from the sun and rain, wild animals, snakes, and so forth. This monastery will draw monks from all directions. And now in future, you have support the Dharma with all your sincerity. I hope that you will continue to devote yourself to practice the way. So the next morning, the Buddha and his disciple went into the city to beg for food. Shariputra divided groups of monks into 12 groups so that they could go to the city orderly to receive these offerings from the people. And after that, they would go back to the new Jetavana monastery. So the people admire the calmness and the quiet manner of all the monks. That's why they went to the new monastery in the Chekrapro to listen to Buddha teaching. Once a week, the Buddha gave the Dhamma talk at this new monastery, and the numbers of attendants grew day by day. And it was not long before the king Pasedadi was well aware of the impact of the Buddha's presence. Again, this king run his kingdom, Kosala kingdom. He was so busy with his political affair to visit the Buddha by himself, but he had listened to many of his royal members who spoke about the new monastery and the monks from Magadha, as well as the Buddha teaching. So one day, during a family meal, the king brought up the subject of the Buddha. Queen Malika informed him of the Prince Cheta contribution to the monastery. So the king asked the prince to tell him about the Buddhas, and the prince recalled all the event, the interaction that he had with the Buddhas and his monastic followers. The prince said that if his father, I mean the king, grant permission, he wished to become the Buddha lay disciple. So at first, King Pasenadi has a hard time to believe that a monk as young as the Buddha could have achieved to the true enlightenment because at that time the Buddha was only 39 years old, the same age as the king. So the king speculated that there was no way for the Buddha could have attained a higher state than should every spiritual teachers of other traditions. Um, until the king would like to have his son to become the Buddha disciple, but he still have doubt. So he would need to see the Buddha face to face in one occasion in the future. Since the time is up, let me stop here today. And next time I will share with you about how the Buddha spread his teaching in the Kosala kingdom. Nam Mô Shakyamuni Buddha.